Jim.
Jay, I guess you're aware that Judicial Watch obtained an email from Ben Rhodes to staff members about the Benghazi attack.
That's incorrect, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
The email and the talking points were not about Benghazi. They were about the general situation in the Muslim world, where you saw, as you may recall, protests
to prepare Susan Rice.
Correct, but you misstated it. In fact, this was not. It was explicitly not about Benghazi. It was about the overall situation in the region, the Muslim world, where you saw protests outside of embassy facilities across the region, including in Cairo, Sana'a, Khartoum, and Tunis, and the so-called talking points around Benghazi, as you know, because it's been substantially reported on, were prepared by the CIA. And in this case, the overall issue of unrest in the Muslim world and the danger posed by these protests to our embassies and diplomatic facilities was very much a topic in the news when
Cuba was a prep call. So I mean,
right, it was a prep call for
the thrust of the reason for the email and the prep call was to prepare Susan Rice for those talk show appearances, which by and large were about the attack on the Benghazi mission. And I just wanted to ask you about one portion of it where it says that
can I just
underscore that the protests are rooted in an internet video and not a broader failure of policy. It just seems that there is a political calculation that was being made in these emails, that the political considerations were being made in preparing Susan Rice for those appearances.
Jim, again, if I may, let me read to you, this is interesting in particular. Fox News Sunday's promo for that appearance begins, "Anti-U.S. protests are spreading across the Arab world." So when we prepare administration officials to appear on television, Sunday shows, when my colleagues prepare me to come out here every day, they prepare me to answer questions that we think you're going to ask. And what was happening that week, in addition, obviously, to the tragic killings of 4 Americans in Benghazi, was upheaval around the region. And for that reason, there was a question and answer document prepared for Ambassador Rice that would respond to that were recommended answers and anticipated questions around the upheaval in the Middle East, in the Muslim world, related to the inflammatory video that had caused so many protests around the world. The amount of coverage that CNN and other outlets appropriately gave to those protests is often forgotten now. But this was an enormous story. And here's a Reuters report. Egyptian protesters scaled the walls of the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, tore down the American flag, and burned it during a protest over what they said was a film being produced in the United States that insulted Prophet Muhammad. CNN reported that in Sana'a on September 11th, quote, demonstrators breached a security wall and stormed the embassy. So obviously, any senior foreign policy administration official who would be appearing before the press and taking questions that week would have to be prepared for questions about that specific subject. What was unique, in fact, about this circumstance is that because members of Congress of both parties from the intelligence committees had asked the CIA for talking points that they could use for public discussion, including on Sunday shows and on other television programs, including cable shows, the decision at the White House was that those talking points produced by the intelligence community, produced by the CIA for members of Congress, were the same talking points that Ambassador Rice ought to use with regards to the matter of Benghazi, and that is what she used.
But Ben,